welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. So, listen, there are two murder trials going on, one in Kenosha, one down in Georgia. I'm not going to talk about either one of them because, I've watched more, super tough, badass, wannabe Rambo fellas run around crying over the last 3 days. You was hard as steel. You was hard as steel when you had some steel. But you get in the courtroom because you can't control your emotions, and then you all in tears. But see, I'm not going to spend too much time, but Travis McMichael was on the stand today. And if you didn't get a chance to check it out, it's quite hilarious. It was obvious before he got on the stand that he thought that he was smarter than the average bear, but he's not. To the point he kept talking, and the prosecutor just let him keep going and keep going and keep going to the point where he said on the stand, and I continued until Ahmaud was no longer a threat. This is long before he shot him. But the dum-dum actually got on the stand and is claiming self-defense, but talked about how he pursued him until he was no longer a threat. So if he wasn't a threat, what you shoot him for? I could just imagine his attorneys in the back going, oh. Even the prosecutor was like, you so dumb, I'm just going to let you keep talking. You meet those people, even I know when to shut up. Even I know when to say, I'm going to wait and see how things are going to pan out. But this dumb. So he's going to get life, I hope. Hopefully they'll come back. It doesn't matter if it's an all-white jury. This fool pretty much said, I was not threatened. He didn't have no gun. He didn't have no knife. He didn't lunge at me. In fact, at one point, he was no longer a threat. But they shot him anyway. But this vigilante, see, this is the part that kills me, right? If in our communities, we talk about protecting our communities, black and brown folk, something wrong with us. There's a Second Amendment, but if a black person have a gun, a brown person have a gun, we can be shot. We're seen as a threat. But these super Rambo wannabe first blood types are running around with they guns. But then they shoot people, then they don't want to be held accountable because in their minds, I imagine, because I'm not a Rambo type, in their mind, I imagine what they're thinking is it's my responsibility, it's my duty to police the other. Well, it's not, unless you've been deputized, baptized in the blue or the brown. You're not. I don't understand. See this, and then the you juxtapose that with this idea, right? Black folk and brown folk are some of the scariest people on the planet. Oh my God, black and brown, they're just scary. They just look scary. But these are the same people that you will Karen and Bubba on. You will run up in our faces, question us about what we doing, start screaming at us and telling us what we supposed to do, but we supposed to be the scary ones. That don't make any sense. If I'm so damn scary, stay your behind on the other side over there. Don't come up in my face. But obviously I'm not that scary because y'all be bold. Some of these Karens and some of these Billy Bobs, they be so bold to run up in people's faces and demand that he stop and talk and demand that you answer my questions. And what are you doing here? I ain't that damn scared if you feel brazen enough to come invade my personal space. So stop acting like I'm scary. That's not what it is. So I wasn't going to do that. My bad, y'all. That ain't gonna do with politics, but it does. I wasn't gonna talk about those knuckleheads because they didn't deserve it. But and then the lawyer with his black pastors, he having a hard time with all the black pastors, but all he did was fire them up. They all heading down to Georgia. He done riled them all up. Oh, you don't want us here? We coming because it's our First Amendment right to be here. It is our right. You can't stop us. But they gonna learn. They gonna learn. All right. let's get to the politics and what's been happening at our state house. So, the Associated Press reports the Indiana's fast-growing tax collections have some Republican lawmakers looking to push through tax cuts during the upcoming legislative session, even as that move faces some skepticism. Republican House Leader Todd Houston said Monday he expected the GOP-controlled House. I don't know why AP always puts that in. We know it's a bunch of super majority House, House with support cuts to the state's 3.23% individual income tax rates or expand credits to reduce what income taxes are owed. Now, on the surface, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, that sounds really good. I'm not gonna lie. Some people want them to actually cut the sales tax. They want to see the sales tax go from cut a percentage off the sales tax, but it's 7% right now, which is one of the highest in the region. Indiana's 7% sales tax is among the highest in the country and greater than any surrounding state. Cutting a full percentage point off the tax rate would cost about $1.2 billion. Flattening out the individual income tax rate from 3.23% to 3% would cost about $400 million. So $1.2 billion in sales tax or $400 million in annual income tax. Now, why are they even talking about this? Why are they talking about this? Well, because state government saw overall tax revenue grow 14% during the last budget year as collections bounced back stronger than expected. You know, that stimulus money, you got some stimulus money and people were putting it back into the system. Tax revenue kept growing with the state collecting $560 million or 10% or more than expected in the 4-month span. Now, the size of the state's surplus is triggering Indiana's automatic tax refund law, with about $545 million being divided evenly among taxpayers through an estimated $170 million or $170 credit on state tax returns submitted next year. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, for real though, that doesn't sound bad, right? I mean, who could use an extra $170 a year? Who a year? Who could use $170? I mean, I know I could. I know I could, right? It would eat that 170 divided over 12 gives you roughly, $15 a month, something like that. I'll take it. However, this is what I question. If we are sitting on a surplus and we received a whole bunch of stimulus money and our revenues jumped up back better than anybody anticipated, then why are we still underpaying our teachers? Why are we still not giving the people who needed that rental insurance money, the rental assistance money, why haven't we given them their money? Why are we still holding on to so much money and then going, oh, well, we probably should give tax cuts? Actually, I think what we should do, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people shouldn't get their money back. I want y'all to understand me and understand me well. I'm not saying that. But if you've collected that money and you see that we have a lot of needs, like they could have really the lieutenant governor talked about for years how she wanted to expand high-speed internet to rural counties. She ain't done it yet. But the Build Back Better plan and the infrastructure plan that the Democrats passed in Washington is going to get that done. We had teachers begging. They had on their little Republican red t-shirts. They went out rallying, Red for Ed. They was like, look, ain't we like you. Come help us. They didn't give them no money. Give them no money at all. Laughed at them, actually. And then proceeded to take more public funds and give it to for-profit, charter, private, parochial schools who get to discriminate against students as they choose. I'm not saying, again, I want to make it clear, if there's a way for people to keep money in their pocket, I get it. But it seems to me like if we have the surplus, and I give the same old analogy, it's cool that you went around and you decorated your yard, you got some new flowers up, you put some, landscape lighting out, you had 50 pounds of mulch dropped, and man, you look really good on the outside, but you got a big old hole in your roof. You got a big hole in your roof. There are a lot of areas of our state that require some attention. And if we have the available funding plus some of that came from the federal government, then why are we A, giving money back to the federal government, which we have done, and B, not listening to the people? The people are begging for assistance, rental assistance, paycheck assistance, all of that. All of that. We could have given all these teachers a raise. We could have given them extra aides in classrooms that require it so that students aren't packed 40 deep. There were more ways to use that surplus that benefits Hoosiers. But you don't think about that because all you see is I'm gonna give some money away and I'm gonna get my money. And it's not like that. You can't keep neglecting a thing and expect it to flourish. And that's what's happening. So we got one of the highest sales tax rates in the region, which, hello, you thought Illinois would. You thought Illinois would. Sorry, it's here in Indiana. But they're not really using that money in a way that's beneficial to all Hoosiers or that benefits the most Hoosiers. They want to make sure those people that have yachts get a tax cut. Oh, y'all remember that bill? Y'all remember the airplane fuel bill to give tax cuts to people who have to pay for their private jet fuel? I'll be glad when we elect some people in that state house that actually give a damn about Hoosiers and what they need, and all these pro-lifers, making sure that once the kid is here, they can get a quality education. How about we relieve some of the healthcare costs? There's so many ways that we can help people. But I mean, if you want to give me $170 a year, I'll take it. We'll spread that out over 6 million people. $170. I'm just saying sure. Okay. I see both sides, but man, just think what you could do if you put your mind to it. If you thought more about the overall life experience of living in Indiana versus just the money. All right. Indiana's own Dana Black turned left. Listen, there was a brouhaha. A brouhaha in one of our towns right here in Marion County. And I was over at Senator Bro's fundraiser, and man, did I get an earful. There was some controversy over the budget, and the mayor was talking about. I'm just gonna read it. I'm not even gonna waste time. I'm just gonna read what it said. And this was from WTHR. Lawrence mayor predicts significant cuts to public safety if council budget is passed. Mayor Steve Collier said the budget proposed by the city council would result in 23 public safety personnel losing their jobs by the end of 2022. Hey, you know what? I'm one of them people. I'm just gonna go straight to the horse's mouth. I ain't even gonna sit around and wonder what the council was thinking. Y'all, tonight on my show, I have the president of the Lawrence Common Council at Large, Lisa Chavis. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dana. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm being facetious because I wanted to give a segue on all of this. And before we get started, I want to play this one little snippet that the mayor said after you passed your budget. But we're going to go through some things on how we got to the point where you passed it. And this won't take long, y'all. I'm just going to play this little snippet. I got to find it first. Hold on. This is why I need somebody to be a producer. Hold on. All right, 5 seconds.
These, claims that we haven't answered, that we haven't been available, so on, they're just not true.
So I'm going to play it again so you hear it.
These, claims that we haven't answered, that we haven't been available, so on, they're just not true.
So he says the claims that the council made claims that they couldn't get any answers about the budget. Put that in your memory bank, and we're going to come back to it. Councilwoman, Madam President, what is the mayor of Lawrence talking about?
I have no idea. I still haven't figured out. This This has definitely been the most contentious budget cycle since my time on the council. You know, a lot of accusations and lies being told about the intent of this council in this budget process. You know, this council being accused of making this a political um, budget process is just not true.
It's just not true. So there's no claim. Is there any truth? And I already know the answer because I got a clip. They said that you guys were trying to defund the police. Now this is their talking point, their rhetoric, their we gonna do our racialized fear mongering to get, because they're tying defund the police to black people. Let's be real. Were you trying to defund the Lawrence Police Department?
Absolutely not. You know, that took me there. That accusation is when, I had enough. This council has always been supportive of our public safety. And to be accused of defunding the police was just, that was an outrage. It was an outrage, and it was a slap in the face to every single person on that council.
Yeah. So now let's be clear. Now the mayor just said that it wasn't true that you guys couldn't get the answers from his administration that he was looking for. Well, so what is the name of the controller over there, Lisa?
His name is Tyler.
Tyler?
He is our new controller. This is his first budget cycle as the controller. For that statement to be made about the fact that we couldn't get any answers, the budget process, like everything we do as a council, is a matter of public record. Okay? It is all a matter of public record. There is a video of every single meeting we have. And when we had one of our early meetings about the budget, all you have to do is go back and look at it. The controller refused to answer questions about the budget that the finance committee, which I sit on, and Sean Denny chairs, and Tyrell Giles is another fellow Democrat is on there. And we also have a Republican on the finance committee. We could not get our questions answered to the point where I specifically asked.
Oh, well, wait, hold on. You know what? Hold on. I mean, because, some people might say that you're, skewing the facts, Madam President. They might be, people are listening going, how do I know she accurately is representing what actually happened in that meeting? Well, like she said, you can go to the Lawrence Facebook page, listen to the video yourself, but I don't want you to do that right now. I want you to stay right where you are, because let's just take a few minutes, and I promise you, watch the facial expressions, because they dope. I want y'all to hear this meeting, so don't go anywhere. Stay right there.
So I'll refer to an email that we received, or some communication we received, that the majority of the 3.6 million is in capital improvement, specifically for parks, and for the $200,000 roughly of that is for the redevelopment of this building, or rehab of this building.
This is Sean Denny.
I didn't see that budget, that 3.4 million, in the Parks Department's budget. Where would I find that?
Very clear question.
What you're indicating is that if those projects weren't funded in the 2022 book, the budget book, then we don't need to bring in $3.6 million from the cash reserve.
Right, so those are one-time expenditures. If the council decided they didn't want to do those projects, you could eliminate those projects and it would eliminate that funding.
Well, there's a difference in not wanting to do those projects and being able to fund them within a balanced budget.
See, I love Sean Denny.
That's really what we're getting at.
So the one-time expenditures are being funded with the unreserved. So the difference between the two is the reserved is the 20% mark that we set ourselves. Those one time would be funded with the unreserved general fund, which would still make this a balanced budget in that sense. I will say, if I don't know what the rationale would be for keeping those funds above the 20% threshold. It doesn't make sense to me, or I don't think a taxpayer would understand why we would keep that above the 20% threshold either. But that's, the council's decision.
So are you saying that
This is you.
none of those funds that you've earmarked for parks projects can be found in the parks budget, not any of it?
I didn't say that. I'm not sure where you came up with that.
Smart.
Okay, so you didn't answer the question. So is
Well,
any
he jumped to a different question. He was asking if those were removed, something about removing those. He'd have to restate the question, I guess.
So his first question was, is those any part of those projects in the actual parks budget? That was his first question. And then when you couldn't answer that, then he asked it in a different way regarding the reserve fund. So I'm circling back to his original question, which is any part of those projects?
There's part in the parks budget.
So can you tell us
again, but we keep going to the term capital, and again, it's not going to be in the 4.4s. But what I'm getting at is, if you guys want to cut that out, this budget is balanced. It is our proposed budget. If you're looking for places to go and to cut, I'm not going to give you every piece. You guys get to do that. I did my part, which was propose the budget. If you want to find specific pieces to cut out,
And that was Tyrell.
that's your decision.
Right.
Okay.
So you can't answer the question as to where any of these projects are funded in the parks budget?
That's not what I'm saying, but if that's what you want to take from it, then you can take
So
that.
answer the question. Can you tell us where it is? It's really a yes or no question. Either you can or you can't, or you just refuse to.
Refuses to.
We'll go with refuse then.
Absolutely.
So, we'll just go with refuse then, Councilwoman. That's what he said. He said he refused. So, my mama didn't like it when I call people liars, but I just played that other clip for you, not 20 minutes ago, where he said this.
These, claims that we haven't answered, that we haven't been available, so it's just not true.
So obviously somebody ain't listening to y'all's public record, publicly available, budget hearing meetings, i.e. the mayor of Lawrence. Let's get real and let's talk about this like we talked about it the other night. What's up with the mayor of Lawrence, and what are they trying to do with these funds, and why were they trying to hide them in line items? Because I've done budgeting. Right, I've done budgeting with the Marion County Surveyor's Office, and we went through those lines with a fine-tooth comb so that when she went before the budget committee, we knew exactly where every dime that we were asking of taxpayer money was going. Now, these are supposed to be Republicans. These are supposed to be fiscally responsible, the fiscally responsible tax hawks. Tell me what they were doing and how you were able to, as a council, reconcile all of the whatever it was that they were doing.
So I'll start off by saying that the budget that was presented and our inability to get our questions answered netted to being a unbalanced budget. There was $3.6 million in capital improvement projects that they wanted to fund out of the reserves, okay? So anyone who knows budgeting knows that a balanced budget is when your revenues equals your expenses.
Yes, balance, like your checkbook.
Like your checkbook. You do not balance the city's budget by taking money from its savings account. Okay? And so essentially, what we set out to do is to have a transparent budget that was balanced.
Right.
And we did that by removing the $3.6 million, not in public safety, not in salaries, but in capital improvement projects. More specifically, parks projects, which, oh, by the way, can potentially be funded. They can potentially be funded out of the reserves using the appropriation process, but they can't be funded in a budget that is not balanced.
So why do you think? Okay, so why if it came out of parks projects, basically you said the 3.5 million came out of parks projects. How do you take parks projects and tie it to public safety and body cams and salaries?
Well, that's what you do when you want to get everybody all riled up, right?
Oh,
And,
oh,
and you don't want to um, be truthful about the situation, which is we had a shortfall in revenues in our public safety tax and our MVH fund, which was as a result of COVID and is not unique to the city of Lawrence. Okay. So we had a revenue shortfall um, out the gate. So then you put on top of that, which was roughly about $2.1 million. And then you put on top of that this 3.6, you're over $5 million. So where's that money gonna come from? It doesn't fall from the sky. And we had no more projected revenues that were that we knew of that was gonna help with that shortfall. It's our responsibility as a council to ensure that not only our budget is balanced, but anything that we do and that we approve from a budget standpoint is sustainable.
mm,
So, there was a lot of uproar about, public safety, and some of that was around the fact that our public safety and our city workers, I believe, not I don't believe, it's true, they had been under the impression that they were going to get a 5% pay increase. Okay. There was not money in the budget to give a 5% pay increase this year.
okay,
So
okay.
what we did is, because we do have American Rescue Funds,
Go
just
Democrats.
like, most cities our size. So we proposed a 5% bonus, one-time bonus, to be paid out after the 1st of 2022 for our public safety and our city employees.
Okay. That makes sense. The funds were there. I mean, unlike the state, they just sitting on it.
Yep. So that's the resolution that we passed. We've been very generous as a council as it relates to giving pay raises. What municipalities that get 5% pay increases 3 years in a row? Oh, last year, correction, public safety got 6%. 3 years in a row, they got 5%, 6%, and 3% every year previous. Not compounded, that's a 26% pay increase.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the city of Indianapolis, Marion County for 6 years and never got a raise. Never got one. So
Right.
the fact that a municipality and I always tease Senator Fatty because he was the controller when I was over there. And I'd be like, Fatty, where my money? And I knew, I just give him grief because he's a good guy. But no, municipalities don't get money like that. So the 3.5 million that they were taking from reserves, what did they do? They spread it out. Did they label it? Did they title it? Did they give it a specific name? Did they put them in the right buckets?
They didn't put it in the buckets. They didn't give it a name. They didn't spread it out. They didn't even give it to us until we basically said that we weren't going to be able to move forward without that information. Then we were provided with these parks projects in an email that Councilor Judy referred to.
Time out. So basically what you're saying is the first time you got your budget, it didn't even list the monies that they were spending.
It didn't list the projects for
Ah.
the money that they wanted to use.
Mm.
No, we didn't have the details behind it at all. We just knew that they wanted to use $3.6 million out of our reserve fund to help fund the budget.
Yeah, but you couldn't. But they wouldn't tell you where the budget was being short. That they had to take the money.
Exactly.
It,
Exactly.
so
Because
this,
there was only $1.8 million in the parks budget.
I know that you cannot get into the minds of other humans, and I would not. So I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna stretch here. We know that in Lawrence, it's very rare that a Democrat holds on for more than 2 terms or a Republican holds on for more than 2 terms. Lawrence flips over, and homeboy got lucky this last time because he won by the skin of his chinny chin chin. That Democrat was on his heels. And it looks like, depending on who steps up this go round, if they put in yeoman's work, there's going to be an opportunity because Lawrence is flipping. It is what it is.
Agreed.
Do you think maybe after those Republicans had been so fiscally responsible and built up that surplus that they didn't want to leave anything for the next person to come around?
You think?
I I don't know, Madam President. I'm just a young person out here trying to figure all this out. It just
Yeah.
seems it just seems
Well,
to me that they were putting if you are asking the council to approve a 3.5, which by the way, shame on them for not thinking that there were some intelligent people on that council that were going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And if anybody knows anything about Sean Denny, he ain't no dumb man. Okay? He ain't no dumb man. They didn't think y'all was going to go through it.
no,
And then when
no.
you did go through it, did they even think that you were going to question them?
Right. No, no. I don't think that was even something that even crossed their minds, to be honest with you. But, we are spending a lot of money in our city doing some great things. We've taken care of our public safety. We did have to shore up our public safety salaries because they were out of line for communities of similar size. And we shored all that up
Okay.
and we're doing pretty good out here. But the thing about it is that, that has been the story of many past mayors
Right.
that they had their years of glory and then they had their years of doom. Okay. That has been a cycle in the city of Lawrence as well, where, it wasn't too long ago where we were cutting
Mm.
public safety's jobs because of overspending. So what this council is doing is we are not going to allow the city to get back to that place.
Right.
We are
Right.
going to make the tough decisions that might not be popular, but I don't serve to be popular.
Right.
I serve to make the right decisions for our city, for our community, and for the people that live in our community.
And that's what it's supposed to be about. I mean, my buddy and I, she hates when I call her that, but it just Nicole and I were talking, and we get so frustrated. We are seeing this same type of behavior at every level of our government, and from municipalities all the way up to the federal government, where people were elected to do certain things for the community, and they're just not. I mean, it's killing me how many Indiana Republicans are running around, touting the Build Back Better plan, the infrastructure bill, or the infrastructure plan anyway, talking about how it's going to bring all this money to their communities and their constituents, but they didn't vote for it. They voted against it. So they're taking credit for something they didn't do. That's like, me taking credit, Lisa, for the A that you got on your calculus test. Listen, it's Lisa Chavis all at the top, and I say I did it. I did it.
Right.
You didn't do
Right.
anything. They would rather us suffer. I'm not gonna speak for Mayor Collier, but it almost seems like he would rather sow seeds of division in the Lawrence community than to do what is right, because then they had the press conferences, right? They had the press conferences with the law enforcement officers all lined up, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to racialize this, but since they used a racist trope to try to say that you were doing something on the council that you weren't doing, would you, and you didn't know I was going to ask this, but would you happen to know what the demographic makeup is, the ratio is in the on the Lawrence Police Department? If you don't, that's fine. That's cool.
I don't know exactly, but I would hazard to guess you could count them on one hand.
People of color on one hand?
I would hazard to guess
Yeah,
that.
and out of how many law enforcement officers? Or
Mm,
because what is
I
it
would,
about
I would say
200?
it. I would say it makes up less than 1%.
Okay. All right. I just want to. I mean, not that we're trying to racialize public safety, but unfortunately, public safety has been racialized. So when you have to work with these folks and you're trying to do everything you can for them. I know that you said you were upset and you were frustrated, but I know that you were cool with some of those law enforcement officers, right? I know that
Yeah.
I'm cool with law enforcement officers. And you had to genuinely go back to those men and women and say, that's not what we're doing. They were being misled. How did you deal with that?
Yep. So, how I deal with it is how I deal with everything, serving in the public and even in my own personal life, is you just have to tell people the truth. They
Right?
don't they don't have to accept it. But the truth is, you may not understand it and it's okay. And I can explain it to you, but I can't give you what I don't have.
Right.
Okay. So we would all love to have a pay raise. We would all love to have a pay raise every single year. We would all love for the pay raise to be 5% or greater. But if we don't have it to give, we can't give it to you. Not only do we not have it to give, but we have to be able to sustain it. And I think that's what people always lose sight of
Yes.
is your pay raise that year has to be sustained 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, as long as you are employed with this city.
Right.
So, we can't look at these things short sighted. So that's my conversation with them. In order for me to be able to continue to take care of you and to take care of this city and to make sure that there's money in the coffers when you retire, we got to make the right decisions now.
Right. And then there's the other element of all of this brouhaha. You guys hear from the constituents all of the time. And if the mayor gets up and all the boys in blue get up saying this council, majority Democrat, is trying to make our community less safe, what were you hearing from the community? Because again, these leaders, these elected people were misleading the public.
Yeah, so Dana, I'm glad you said that because you know what? Our constituents are smart too.
That's what's up.
And so, although it's easy to grab on to something that somebody says, there's also people that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they want to hear both sides of the story. So when we were reached out to by our constituents and we were seeing things on social media and all that, we had constituents that actually reached out to us and we encouraged them to come to the meeting. We encouraged one lady to come to the meeting, one of our constituents, and she was very upset because she was hearing the defund police rhetoric. And, we kept it professional and, we
Yeah.
want to encourage our community to be politically engaged. So we asked, we gave her the information about the meeting and we told her to show up. And guess what? She showed up.
Mm.
And not only did she show up, she sat on the front, towards the front. And she texted the council members after the meeting. And she said thank you. That she got all of her questions answered, that she was sorry that she had,
Lashed
even
out.
for a moment that we were going to defund the police, and that she was very impressed with the level of professionalism. And you know what? That's what it's about. You have to get engaged. You have to be involved. You can't take someone's platform and make it your mantra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah, I love it. Keep going. Keep going, sis. I mean, cause see,
Yeah, that's classic, historical city of Lawrence tactics. You know,
Oh.
we knew when we rolled up in there on that night that there would be standing room only, that the parking lot would be on overflow. But I'm not fazed by any of that.
That's what's
Not at
up.
all. I'm not fazed by any of it. And so we're gonna come out there with the facts and the information and making the best decision, whether there's one person in the room or 100 people in the room.
I love it. And and the idea that you can intimidate people. I mean, you see Gosart and Bybart and all these little knuckleheads running around the country trying to scare people. What was it? The Marjorie Taylor Greene published fellow Republican phone numbers, and they've been getting death threats and harassed. Again, it goes back to that Rambo mentality. I'm Rambo as long as I got a gun, but if you put me on the stand in a suit and tie, I'm gonna cry like a little baby, baby, baby. I'm gonna cry like a little baby. I'm tired of it. And what's really frustrating, Lisa, I am not by any stretch of the imagination a violent woman. I don't believe in fighting. I remember telling my ex a long time ago, you want to get in a fight. Do you realize boxers and fighters train months on end to get into a fight? I'm not finna use up all that energy because that's what they do. I am not gonna get in a fight. But one of the things that I do know, if you step to people with confidence and you do not back down and you look them in the eye, they will shrivel up, especially when they've been trying to be a bully. I
Right.
feel bad. I feel bad for the law enforcement officers who were led to believe that they had to fight to be funded. I feel bad for the constituents who felt like they had to show up and fight to fund the police when all it was, and you won't say it because you a good respectable councilwoman. They lied. They flat
They
out
lie,
lied.
or another way you could say it, and my husband says this all the time: smoke and mirrors.
See, smoking. No, they lied. They was
Smoke
on
and
some
mirrors.
bullshit.
So, this is the thing, Dana. There's a couple things that I want to make sure that
Sure,
I say here, because my peers that sit on the council, I think they would want me to make sure I share this message.
absolutely.
First of all, this council passed a responsible, clear, and transparent balanced budget with zero, and I'm going to repeat that, zero public safety cuts.
Mm, mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, we had to vote to overturn the mayor's veto last night because he refused to sign this
Whoa, whoa,
balanced
whoa,
budget.
whoa! Time out! Time out! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I missed that meeting last night. My bad. So wait, are you saying that after all the brouhaha about y'all wanting to cut and defund the police, you passed a budget that gave people some money and fully funded the police, and he vetoed it?
Yes.
Oh, so who actually is trying to defund the police here? I, I'm just saying, if you did all of those things and all of this stuff, y'all, is transparent. You can go look it up. They print it out in pretty glossy, pamphlets. You can go read it. But the mayor of Lawrence, I didn't even realize that he vetoed. I think I did. He vetoed it, and y'all
Yeah.
had to override his veto because he wants to defund the police. What was his reason? Did he? I know he gave a reason. He had to give a statement.
So let me say two things for clarity. First of all, there was two things that we had to overturn. One is the budget, which was a balanced budget that we passed, and he refused to sign. So in essence, he vetoed it. So we overturned that. And then the second one was the resolution for the 5% one-time bonus for public safety and city employees. And he didn't sign that, so vetoed it. So we had to overturn that as well.
Did he have a press
So,
conference on his veto of the funding to the law enforcement officers and the one-time payment? Did he have a press conference about that?
oh no,
Did he get the law enforcement officers up in the on in front of microphones saying, oh my God, we are not going to give these people any money"?
no.
Oh, so he did that behind closed door like a little punk. I'm j- I'm just saying. I mean, you was big, bold, and brash when you was wanting to blame somebody else for your mess ups, but when you are held accountable, you ain't got nothing to say in public. You silent. See, that's what I'm talking about. Them want to be Rambos. They hard when they in a group. I mean, think about it. They hard when they in a group. You get them one on one, they gotta stand all by themselves. They cowards, man. I'm sorry. Okay, go back to your amazing counsel and the points that you want to make. You had to override the veto on the budget that fully funded the police, and you had to override the veto to give the police a 5% raise. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm keeping up.
So we did those two things, and then yesterday evening we passed to basically contribute funds into our rainy day, and I haven't substantiated this, but my understanding is that he intends to veto that as well. So why would you veto putting funds in a rainy day fund? Like, why?
So, leadership, in my opinion, the first role of being a leader is you got to listen, and you got to be a servant, and you got to be willing to serve. I have a feeling that your current mayor, who will be on the ballot in 2023, and y'all can get rid of him. I believe he only wants to serve him and his people. You don't have to say that. You don't have to, I don't ever want you to have to feel any kind of way about working with your colleagues. But this is how I see it. If you got up, and I'm going to do like the prosecutor did earlier today with that dum-dum. If you, because she went over until it sunk in, and it still didn't sink into his little thick skull. You can't rile up the community and divide the community up about a falsehood, and then try to be some old, I'm going to, strong arm behind closed doors. This is not leadership. This is not what it takes to run a city. And I'm sorry, Mayor Collier, Indiana's Own is calling you out and letting you know you are not about the right. You are not looking out for your people. Shame on you stirring the pot and getting people all fired up. And it's you who vetoed funding the police officer. Don't worry. I'm certain we will have a Democrat to run against you. And don't worry. I will make sure I'm there to knock on doors and rally the troops in Lawrence to make sure they vote your behind out, because you don't care about the police officers, because if you did, you'd have funded them. You don't care about the constituencies, and you don't care about the employees of the city of Lawrence, because you wouldn't have vetoed those raises either. And you obviously are willing to throw every member of that council under the bus, so you don't care about them either. Yeah, it's not what people say, it's what you do. And his actions have indicated he is not a leader, and just throw him in the Jim Banks category. He's one of them. Go throw him in Jim Banks, and he'll probably end up running for president and win. Y'all do know that, right?
So you know what, Dana? So here's the thing. I think you alluded to this earlier, but I'm not going to spend my energy chasing tail. I mean, this is it takes a lot of energy and focus and time off of the real work.
Yeah.
When we have to sit here and play these types of games. I don't have the patience for that, because I know that it's a disservice. It's a disservice to everybody involved, and in our community too. And so, I would be happy if we could get to the point where we're focusing back on the business and not all these politics and games that are being played. So that's my hope for 2022, is that we can get to a place where we are working and all serving the best interest of our community.
And absolutely, because you talk about playing games. He was trying to play Pop Warner ball in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was playing. He thought these are Pop Warner. I'm gonna come with some Pop Warner nonsense. But these were straight up NFL Hall of Famers. And I wanna give a shout out to that entire council for standing your ground, not wavering, because sometimes it's easy the pressure can get to you. You know, when people are coming at you to please, you know, and everyone knows who you are, you're easily accessible. You can't even go to the grocery store probably and pick up some, you know, some fruit and vegetables without people, you know, you want to get some toilet paper, they won't judge you on the type of toilet paper you buy. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be a regular person. So I want to applaud each and every one of those members who stood strong and stood in solidarity and did not allow the bully tactics, the intimidation tactics, the lying and the cheating to get y'all down and to do what's right for the city of Indianapolis. Or I'm sorry, city of Lawrence.
City of Lawrence.
Oops.
That's right. You caught yourself. You're good.
Freudian slip. I guess we can't. Wait. I'm going to start some trouble. I guess we can't annex y'all, huh?
No, don't.
You know I'm starting mess.
Don't start, Dana.
I ain't gonna start nothing. I'm just messing with y'all. No, we good. So, you know, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, you guys have gotten through the budget process, and you know, the council meets year round. Y'all don't get, you know, sessions and time off. What are some of the things that you guys as a council are looking to tackle moving forward? You know, I think I beat that horse to death, but what are y'all looking to tackle moving forward?
Yeah, so we are, as a city, looking to invest in the trades district and continuing to build out the fort, which, oh, by the way, is pretty much, you know, all the parcels are pretty much sold. So the city is definitely on a good trajectory in terms of jobs and, you know, growth. So we've got a lot of that going on, and I think that's great. I think it's wonderful for the city, but I think that the things that we're going to sort of be focused on as a council is to make sure that as we continue to grow in this city, that not only do you see the growth as you drive around and you see these pretty new buildings, but that we grow our revenue at the same time, right? And that we can continue to support our infrastructure, because we do have an infrastructure with some challenging as it relates to stormwater, sewer, and all those things. I mean,
The not so sexy stuff. Yeah.
the not so sexy stuff, right? The sexy stuff, in my estimation, is the stuff that can get you in financial trouble, right? You see that all over in some of the surrounding communities where, you know, it looks real good, but it comes at a cost, right?
The hole in the roof.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that the focus is on the things that aren't so glamorous, but and I know that those that might say, well, if that's true, then why aren't you approving some of the projects that are out there for stormwater? We didn't approve a stormwater bond yesterday evening, and I know that was probably a sting to the administration. But, you know, as the council sort of is focusing on being more financially prudent, they're just not going to be willing to sign up for more debt without assurance that we have exercised all of our due diligence, looked at all financing options, and make sure that we are putting the best package together. And once again, like I said, not only on paper, but also to sustain us, and then also to be able to have some money there in the event that something happens that comes from nowhere, right?
Like a pandemic?
A pandemic, you think? A catastrophic failure of something as it relates to sewer, right? So they're looking at this, the council, my peers, they're looking at things with a jaundiced eye. And they're peeling everything back. So I think that when we are brought things now, they're going to be vetted out to the fullest extent. And if they're not vetted out, and the council, the majority council, does not feel comfortable what's in front of them, it just may not happen.
Yep, I mean, people don't realize the power in the council. If there wasn't a competent council right now, he would be able to get away with everything. A little birdie, and I'm not gonna say who it was, because they might not be happy if I did that. A little birdie, we got the news last week that former House Speaker Brian Bosma registered as a lobbyist. Is it true? And if you can't confirm, that's fine. But there's a rumor out there that he's been lobbying in Lawrence for that bond.
Well, that's true. He does. He did present the bond issuance to the council.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So, okay, so I'm just going to say this. There's a 34-year history of how he sees things. And so if he is making a presentation to Lawrence about a bond to work on storm drains and things of that nature, if the storm drains are going to cost $2 million, he getting 500,000. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. If he is lobbying and trying to get some money to make y'all borrow money, the interest rates on that bad boy are gonna go through the roof, because he ain't looking out for the people neither. I lived in his district. I know. I'm just saying.
No, so Dana, since you brought that up, I mean, those are some of the, things that I think some of my peers could not overcome, right? So, not only, the interest rates, but also, like you said before, and I think it's still gets overlooked, we are in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And there is concern that there are projects all around this city that can't get completed, not only because of material shortages, which I'm not suggesting that there is as it relates to the materials that are needed to do sewer work, but there is definitely.
Well, we already know about the pipeline. Yeah.
A manpower or labor shortage.
But see, we got stuff hanging out in the harbor. I mean, in the ocean right now on barges that they can't get unloaded. And they crying and moaning about that. But this group of Republicans want you to borrow money on interest for a project that you may not even be able to start because you don't have the materials. I'm sorry. I wish they would quit telling us that they are fiscally responsible, because they sound real dumb right now. They sound super duper dumb. I'm not even a math major, accounting major, or a finance major. I'm an IT chick. I deal in binary, ones and zeros. That's it. These guys are supposed to be the financial fiscal hawks, but you're gonna ask the city of Lawrence, which is not y'all not even a second class citizen city, are you? So you're a city within our county. And these guys said, hey, come borrow this money and have to pay interest on it. And we don't even know when you can start the project. I'm so glad that council is full of brilliant and bright people, because if y'all weren't, then y'all might actually believe, the slogan, build that wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. I'm just saying. Indiana's own Dana Black. Turn left. We are talking to the president of the Common Council, Lawrence Common Council, an at-large candidate or elected official, Lisa Chavis. Lisa, I knew we was gonna chop it up, and I appreciate you coming on the show. This had nothing to do with anything other than what's happening in Lawrence and how important it is to get engaged in your local politics, get engaged at every level. Because if you're too busy focusing in on what's happening in Washington every day, all day, you'll mess around and miss what these council folks are doing. And I know the city county council in Indianapolis did the same thing. They did not defund the police, but even though these people are going out here stirring up, ginning up, getting people riled up about a lie, man, a lie. Caravan, lie. And that's what they seem to want to do. But what it does is divides our communities. When we could be coming together to solve real problems and real issues, all they want to do is divide. So I'm grateful to Councilwoman Chavis and all of the people that you work with. I'm not going to name them all by name, because I love y'all. Y'all know I know who y'all are. some of y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You know
saying?
who.
And know that whenever you need Indiana Zone to come out and start knocking doors for whoever the hell is running against the mayor in 23, I will rile the troops up and we will get her done, baby. We will get her done. All right. Thank you. That's my show for tonight, y'all. But check this out. Next week is Thanksgiving, so I will not have a show next week. I know I'm sad too, but I'm probably be in a turkey coma. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm going to my auntie house, and I know it's gonna be good. And also, the following week, I will not be on. So the next 2 weeks, I will not be on. Following week, the week after Thanksgiving, is Victory Week, Victory Institute. Yes, so I'm gonna go hang out with my Rainbow Warriors, who do this political thing, and I'm gonna be chopping it up and talking to people. And you never know me, I'm gonna try to get a picture with the coolest politician who shows up. I'm still like, I got a picture with Auntie Maxine. I got, so that's. And look, Representative Jaya Paul, how hot is she right now? Got a picture with her. So the next 2 weeks, I will not have a show, but we will be back the second week of December, and I will have for you Women for Change. I hope I get this right. Women for Change, Rima Shahed. I love her to death. She's one of the most amazing women in our state doing amazing things, and we're going to talk about what Women for Change are working on for the 2022 election cycle and how you can get involved and be more engaged as a woman, and we empower you and all of that good stuff. So enjoy your holiday, everybody. Thank you for continuing to show Turn Left some love. If you like what we do, please click the link, donate, help a sister out. I'm trying to make it better every day. All right. I'll holler at y'all next time. Hey.